experience it with, and honestly, not just the outdoors, but life. And I could not think of a better individual than to talk about life than with you. So we've been through a handful of it, and you got a lot of cool things ultimately going on. So it'll be good. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Experience More podcast. I'm excited for this episode because special guest on here today is honestly a ride or die, an individual who has had my back literally since his day one. And when I think of just the Experience More podcast as a whole, in the essence of it, of going out and experiencing more of the outdoors, more of life, I couldn't think of an individual who has had more experiences with me throughout the outdoors and throughout life than my baby brother, Nick Arvold. What's up, dude? Yeah.
What's up?
How you doing?
Here we are. Dude, it's so cool to be, I think, just on this platform with you and a part of your story, because obviously I've watched this whole thing kind of go and grow, and as it continues to grow, it's it's cool to be here and just chat about life and our experiences and my experiences, and hopefully somebody finds some value in it. I think I've been had a lot of fun opportunities, but also a lot of fun experiences over the past 30 some. I'm not going to put a number on it.
Yeah,
30.
It was anyone who's on this right off the rip, you got to go over to Nick's Instagram handle, and I'll definitely drop it into the caption below, but go remind him how old he is. It was his birthday yesterday, and we're really, really close. We're like 11 months apart overall in age. So definitely he's old.
I don't know. Yeah, and we'll leave it up to your viewers to know who's actually older.
Yeah.
But you guys can guess.
I did say baby.
But like when you're really, the weird thing is, like, I posted a little Instagram story that was just, I thought was funny because I was literally on my birthday. In Wisconsin, your ID doesn't expire for like a crazy amount of years. I don't know what it is, if it's like 15 years or something like that. Anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to go get it renewed on my birthday. Otherwise, I was going to have to pay an extra fee. And now they've got this real ID thing, which allows you to not have a passport. So I was like, I'll just kill two birds with one stone and get my ID renewed and the real ID. And I just happened to have everything in my truck that I needed to make that happen. But it was weird because I was just, this is adulting when you sit at the DMV for your birthday just to get a new ID.
Now the government can really watch you.
Yeah,
they know everything.
That's what it feels like. And okay, also I get insurance, and like re-registering your vehicle, you pay taxes on the roads. Like that money's going in. I don't know why I have to pay $40 some to get a new ID when I already passed the test. I already got that license, and they're literally sending me a new one in the mail. And so this $40 is for what? It's not like who knows? Blah blah blah, dude.
The government. We don't need to go down the money they take. I get a little bit depressed every single time I look at taxes and W-2s or different things like that. Yeah, it's not the funnest thing in the world. But we'll go down that jot in a little bit. Tell everyone who is listening, introduce yourself and give everyone of the listeners kind of an idea of who you are, what you do, right, and what we kind of got going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm the middle brother of 3 brothers, and I've been a full-time photographer, primarily wedding photographer, for the last 8 years full-time, 10, 11 years, completely. But I just grew up with a camera in my hand. Like, both Jake and I were homeschooled, and every time there was a school project, whether it be for mom or whether it be for this academy we went to in the cities a couple times a week, I would be like, hey, how can I do this project, but can I not even get extra credit, but can I turn this into a video project somehow? I think that maybe, and you've already told the revolutionaries, I don't know why I'm thumbs downing right now, the Revolutionary War videos that we had to make was one that always comes to my mind, because We had to do a presentation on the Revolutionary War, and they're like, well, you have to write this like 4-page paper or something on it. And we literally just grabbed a bunch of muzzleloaders from our hodunk, middle of nowhere, Emerald, Wisconsin town, and went down to the riverbed, and we stuffed gunpowder down them and tissues, and we just started shooting those things at each other while I recorded it. And dude, I don't know where my hard drives are, but anyway, that's a whole other tangent. But yeah, so I've been doing the wedding photography thing for 8 years full time, and it's been a real blessing because we've got 3 kids. I've been able to be the weekend warrior where my wife is the 9 to 5. So we've had this trade-off of not having to do daycare. You know, flexibility has been really nice, and we've been blessed with a lot of people in our circle and opportunities. And I got into it at the right time because a lot of our friends were getting engaged, and that kind of helped propel my career in it. And yeah, it really took off. And I was working with Dad for a while. I thought helicopters were going to be my pursuit. And then I fell into the photography thing, and it absolutely blew up. And I did one wedding, and I said, this is exactly what I want to do. Only because I had that thought process of like, well, if our photographer, this one girl could do it, I could definitely do it. And then, just went and I ran with it. So, yeah, self-employed for the last 8 years, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. And there's a handful of stories. And I think this episode is definitely just going to be storytelling time. And I want Nick's perspective on the different stories, because I, of course, have my own, right? And just kind of back and forth. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of, it's like, you remember that? Right.
But yeah, like, I'll call you out on your shit.
Yeah. Hey, that's all right. It's good. It's all right.
It's elevated.
Right. Older brother has that, it's the older brother perspective. But
yeah,
it has been really awesome. And that's really, a big piece on this podcast, because I haven't told the story of the Revolutionary War videos. I've had that conversation with a handful of other individuals just in passing and things like that. But it is a huge, tribute to when you have a passion, chase it, and ultimately what can come of it when you do dive further and further into those things, right? Because it is. I really don't remember a time, of course, younger years and everything, that, we weren't doing things outside, because of course we were always outside doing stuff, but you were definitely more the nerd in the family with the video games and the different stuff along that line. And I was more of the dirty hands, kind of like in the shop or something like that. Right. And you
100%.
Flew to it and attracted to it so much better than I did. And I always hated getting killed on Call of Duty or Quick Gun or whatever you would go through and do.
Super Smash.
Yeah, Super Smash, run them over. But the big cool piece is like you always had a camera in your hand, didn't know what you were ultimately doing, but you were always learning, and ultimately like you never went to school for it, right? Like we're both college dropouts. Really retrospect of it, went in, did those pieces, but that Revolutionary War, and I want to take back to that because I think it just sets precedent. We were homeschooled. We went to an academy in Roseville, Minnesota, and we were the 2 country kids that would come to the city. And Nick was very, very outgoing. He was outgoing, funny. He was, plays, musicals, all this other stuff. Like he just had that niche. And I just remember there's a part of me that was just envious because I didn't know like how the fuck he did it. Going out, right? Yeah. But that's, of course, I got into the acting piece with Nick, and really because of Nick. And from there, Nick would go out and we'd have these different projects. And yeah, Nick always had a camera in his hand. And we'd go through tape after tape, and it'd either be over at Josh's house, right? Like we'd be in the big sand pit, filming different stuff out there, blowing different things up with friggin' bottle rockets and stuff, and just do all these little reenactments of lighting like little ships on fire and floating them down the river, or the little streams that would flood. And stuff. But that one in particular, when we had to do the Revolutionary War reenactment, was we'd ask like, hey, can we go through and do this? And we legit brought guns to school. We got permission, right? As for show and tell. Did. But like Nick's not joking. got a couple muskets, black powder, which is not, you don't put bullets in it or anything like that. That's where you got to put the powder in at the end of the barrel, and then you pack it down. And instead of putting a lead ball or something in there, we just packed it with a bunch of like Kleenex, and you light this thing and shoot it. And when that gunpowder goes off, like, it was the coolest shit. I just remember we were so hyped because especially at dusk when it was dark, it would just be like flame balls coming at each other. Right.
Yeah, and it's like the closest thing you can get to with special effects, the same way they shot a lot of those, you know, whether it's The Patriot or any of those movies where they're just using blanks. Like, but there's, you know, there's so much work that's gone into creating a blank for, you know, an actual blank shell. This was like, as, you know, I don't know how old we were. We were like 15, 16 something. And we're putting tissues down there. So like, rather than just being like this musket flare that comes out, like it's just a ball of fire that's caught on, and it still hasn't had time to burn all the way yet, so it just shoots this ball of fire like a Roman candle would, you know, kind of that same effect. And man, if I could find some of those videos, I don't know where any of them are, but it would be wild. I've tried so hard, like bringing old computers back to life that I completely fried with LimeWire or something, and I can't even get past the home screen.
So much spam.
Yeah.
Well, that's, and so many different like little home videos. I remember we tried to catch Santa Claus, and like you had the cameras all set up, and ultimately ran out of tape before we could figure out who Santa Claus was or catch him in that. And we like all sorts of things. So,
well, yeah, because he's real.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
In case it's
I know. It's magic, right? Magic. I swear the camera ran out right before he showed up, and it was just, it was a magical time.
And you know what's cool is like I've done that now with my kids, and with what I know, I'm able to blow their minds twice as much. And now with obviously with AI and everything, this last year I did it with AI, some of it. But I mean, it's just wild that, you know, mine are, the middle one is on borderline of non-believer, but the youngest is definitely still, she's at the perfect age where it's all still so much magic, which is really cool. But
super cool.
But the videos and stuff, I think, you know, we would go to this academy, which was really like, they couldn't give us a grade. They could recommend a grade to our parents, and then our parents would give us a grade basically based on our progress throughout the semester or the year. But we would also go and film snowboarding every single week.
Oh, yeah.
And then
that's right. I forgot about that.
We'd set it up in the classroom, and every week I'd pump out a film of just putting in some just crazy music of the time, and then just sweet cuts and edits. And then we'd have like 6 or 7 of our friends just sit in the classroom during lunch, and we'd all watch the snowboarding video that we made the week prior. But yeah, super cool. Like another experience, like obviously with being in the homeschool realm of things, like we were able to get there early in the Twin Cities, get out and get back to Trollhagen, where we went, most of our snowboarding and stuff was, an hour before school was even released from the high schoolers. So we would have an hour before the tow rope was on, and we would just hike the park, and we would, groom come-ons to rails and stuff and just make them perfect. And that was, some of my fondest memories, because we just have the whole place to ourselves, and then you just polish. And then we'd obviously do all that stuff together with, you know, you and I, but then Leif and whoever else would come out, and it was kind of that, steel sharpens steel. Like, always, you hope that the other guy is a little bit better than you, so that it pushes you to actually land a trick or finally get that move locked in that you were trying to do. Now I'm old as shit and scared to break my body.
I still have the snowboard here. I've like contemplated selling it over and over again, the little Capita, and I'm like,
I'll use it. I'll use it one day.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I know I wouldn't.
It is the coolest thing though, because it's like golfing. It's like golfing. You can pick it up, and you can. If somebody's going to take a big snow trip, like you're like, I got a snowboard, and I can get down most of the black diamonds without dying, and I'm not going to do anything crazy anymore, but I can make it down the hill and keep up with them. So.
Yeah, we'd go there. We'd drive. Well, even what was it? We'd go Friday. Was it Friday night? Was like snowboard all night. I think, wasn't it? Like until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. or whatnot.
2 or 3 or something.
Yeah, because that's we'd go out there. Yeah, we go.
It's a
We'd
different
stay at Grandma
vibe.
and Grandpa's. Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did that, and then we'd also set up all the, even if it wasn't out at the park there, because I know Leif would do it at their house, and then we also had it set up at the farm where we'd take like the skid steer, and or either one of us did or Dad would do it, and pile up all the snow, and we'd find any piece of farm equipment that you could ultimately do a rail on or turn into, or we'd have the huge jump over the driveway, right, and try and clear something.
Dude, that amount of freedom and no responsibilities just to be like, what are we going to do today? Let's move this grain bin auger over here and see if we can, like, do a board slide on it. And like, yeah, that'll probably take up most of our day. You know?
Dude, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff. Dude, yeah, it was, I think that's, it's just a cool thing of honestly like having kids out on the farm doing those things. But honestly, like it was like I would say, like I was very blessed. I believe, we were very blessed to be able to grow up in the family that we did and where we did, because you look at a lot of the kids nowadays, or even especially around the cities and everything here, it's like they got their little cul-de-sac piece. Like they don't have the ability to go run across the field, or, you got to worry about someone taking them kind of thing, right? Or something of that nature. So
and the most freedom they can find, is in like that little black box, which I totally get. Like having the opportunity to go just step out your back door and ride a pig or something like that is not, like, most people, like if you're from the country, like you get it, and then you're like, oh, it's another thing. But if you grew up in a cul-de-sac or like a suburb where, or even those little houses where they're stacked on top of each other, or a skyrise, it's like, that's just Switzerland to those people. So it's cool to, obviously when we have friends out here from the cities, like we've got just 5 acres, nothing crazy, but like we're still, like, our kids can just go outside and breathe the air. But yeah, I think that's why, like, I understand why kids, especially in like a metropolitan area, find freedom in like a little black box, because hopefully they're watching things that are constructive and things that they're passionate about, or that they want to do. And then maybe they're a little bit more knowledgeable of something like the outdoors, or like a sport that they want to do that they don't have the opportunity to do yet. But then they, once you're surrounded by it for a little bit, then it becomes normal. But it's all about opportunity, and obviously a lot about what how you set yourself up. But yeah, we've definitely been blessed with what we had growing up. And I always say, like, my goal is to only give my kids at least the experience that I had growing up, if not better. And that's like my job as a dad, especially if I enjoyed my childhood and I had a good childhood. And too, like, there's kids out there that don't have, like, school as their safe space, and they don't want to go home. So like when we have our kids' friends over, it's like we want them to come here, not only so we can watch and protect our kids and see who they're hanging out with, but also like try to be an escape for those kids as well, hopefully in some respect, and give them some cool experiences too. Like we got little 4-wheelers and stuff, nothing crazy, but people light up when they don't get to do that stuff every day, you know?
Right. Well, and it gives them, I think that's something even where you're at and having the acreage that you do. Like I've seen it just, of course, being out there, but having those kids go out and have a little bit of that freedom, like the ones who might, it gives them, I don't want to say hope, but a vision of what they're capable of doing and what they're capable of having. Right. And that's, I mean, you've done a phenomenal job with your kids, and that's only what I hope to be able to provide Aurora as she gets older, is just give her the opportunities to experience those things, right? Because most of them don't. Most of them live vicariously through other individuals, right? Whether that is riding the 4-wheeler, hunting, fishing. There's other things out there than the black box, right? And you see a lot of them who live vicariously through it, but to be able to come over and hang out, because that's, I mean, shoot, I know you remember like when we went to the academy over there, like we were like the country kids, right? Like, oh, it's the Arvolds, right? Like, stay away from those guys.
Yeah, that's weird.
They're troublemakers, right? It's like, no,
who's got the Ford Bronco in the parking lot, or the little souped up 2.0 turbo Mitsubishi Eclipse? Doing burnouts in the parking lot. It's weird because it gives you like a little bit of a high when you're like confident about it, when you're just like the outlier. But I tell you what, it attracts the certain kind of people. And I think that's like, we were always, I feel like genuinely, we were always finding ourselves as kids, like trying to figure out and fit in a little bit and do what we wanted to do. But as long as you're a little bit yourself, then you at least attract other people that are, you know, at least as weird as you or as motivated and all those kind of things. And I think some of my, well, at least like my buddy Theo, like he's still one of my closest friends today, came from there. And yeah, I think people are important, especially the ones that you surround yourself with constantly.
It's those friends that are able to go out. I mean, Theo's a great example of that, to where it's like, you know, self-made in it. Like there are bigger like opportunities, right? There's things that like whatever your vision is, like you're able to build it if you're willing to go after it and work for it, right? Like it's a very, very cool thing to be able to watch those things manifest, to where then, yeah, you might not see each other for a good minute of time or something, right? But then you're able to catch right up. It's like, it's not a, oh man, you forgot about us, you know, X, Y, and Z, or try and make you feel bad about the growth you're having. But they come in and they add fuel to that fire. It's like, what are you doing? How's it going? What is that like? Right. And like, you dig deeper into those things, and it stokes that fire versus tries to put it out a little bit. So it's super cool.
And being able to take that constructive criticism, you know?
Right.
And like in a positive way that you feed off of each other and you give each other ideas. But like, we all know those people where it's like the conversation goes on and you're just like, I'm not, you know, it's not that you're not gaining anything from that person, but it's like, well, it is like, okay, you have these conversations, you're like, I'm not gaining anything from this person, or this person is either trying to put me down or they're trying to like slow me down or give me all these reasons why not. And just like you and me, like my biggest thing is like, tell me I can't do it. And then like, I want you to tell me that. If I'm struggling doing it, tell me I can't do it, because then I just like break through that third wall and, you know, go completely bankrupt and find a way to do it.
Exactly. Speaking about Theo, this is another story. And of course, like if you guys don't know, of course, my brother, Nick, if you haven't met him, like he is, I know he mentioned he's like photographer, and he's a phenomenal photographer, phenomenal videographer, like very, very super creative. Arvold photography, like you can look it up. He is one who put together an entire video of my bachelor party trip weekend, which was an extravagant, like I still think it's one of those things where it's like, man, if you wanted someone to be able to go document something and tell a story of like your bachelor party, like Nick could do a pretty stellar bang up job on that. I was like, you could sell this shit. Like this, it was good. Outside of that, he is one who has helped me and taught me different things within the cameras, just within the podcast here. I watch and try and learn from him and what he ultimately does. But then when we go out to like a total archery challenge or anything that really looks good, video or photo wise within my content stuff, that's Nick. Like for the majority of stuff, right?
Yeah.
When I'm back up.
Look at your video. I'm just sitting here in my office with this.
Yeah, well, thing. You know, it's what that's most of the stuff I feel like is like go out, you produce it for everyone else, and you're like, fuck it.
Yeah. Yep.
But
I think since day one too, though, I've helped, you know, when I started getting more into the business side of photo and video, it was always trying to build other businesses and have those kind of connections and build those relationships and help people, you know, be successful too, just through what I knew how to do, you know?
Right.
I was like, I think I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah. Figure it out.
My hat in the ring.
Well, and it does. Like, that's one thing is like, he has a very, very good creative eye, right? And that's just something that honestly, like, it's something that is learned throughout years and years and years and years of probably staring at a screen and refining the craft, right? But also having some fun with it. The thing I wanted to go off here, though, is one, if you ever want to do any crazy video stuff or you're looking for a videographer who does some things, definitely hit him up. Non-shameless plug to my brother and everything that he does. But I want you to tell a little bit of the story because you hit on Theo, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all go through walks about of life, right? Tell everyone what you had done right out of high school because it's something most people don't go through and do, right? Like I went and guided elk hunts and did all that. And we went to Camp of Champions. We sold our dirt bikes, all that different shit. Like that was a whole experience. We pierced our ears, frickin' Heelys through the streets, like crazy road trip pieces there. But out of high school, you went on a journey with Theo, and I'd love for you to kind of go through that story a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I broke up with my wife. Now wife. No.
It's true.
That's how the story starts.
Yeah, that story starts.
I had a grass is greener moment. I was like, we had this opportunity, we had this crazy idea to sail down the West Coast on a sailboat, and I'd never been on any water bigger than White Bear Lake. And my buddy had sailed from Florida to Cuba once with his parents, like 10, 15 years prior. So he was a real kid then. And we're like, let's just do it. Let's go buy a sailboat up in Portland, Oregon. And we got to move our other buddy out, Taylor, out of his apartment anyway. So I left our hometown here and I went, jumped on a plane and met my buddy over there. And then we went and, I mean, we should write a book because there's like so many other little stories within this story because we were gone for a little over a month and we had to, like the sailing portion of it was only like half of that. But it's the most exciting portion for sure. But we bought a sailboat in Portland, Oregon. Astoria, Oregon, which is way like the tippiest top northwestern point you can go before you're like heading in towards Alaska and stuff. So we were up there. We took a bus because we only had a van that was not registered or licensed at my buddy's apartment. We moved out. And so we took a bus for a 2-hour trip with bikes that we had to connect to the front of the bus. And then we found this sailboat that was for sale up there and we checked it out, found out that it had late slip fees. So the guy really wanted to sell it and he was in Portland and we had to go up to Astoria. So first we had to go look at it and then we had to come back down to actually pay the guy back in Portland. So we went up and looked at it all by ourselves. The moment we set foot on the dock, a sheriff showed up. And because they must have called because somebody was looking at this specific boat. Well, we got some insider information and said it's not our boat, but we're looking at buying it. So they told us that it was late on slip fees and it had like $500 worth of slip fees that needed to get taken care of. So we took that ammunition to barter with this dude that he neglected to tell us. And so we got it for like a crazy price. I think we paid like $2,000 for this sailboat that was 35 feet long. It needed some work for sure, and it didn't have like the main sail, like the Genoa sail, which is the storm sail. But we found that in a wrecked one that we traded the guys at the marina for. We traded them a vacuum cleaner for that sail. From all the stuff we were moving out, Taylor, our other buddy.
Yeah. Because
he needed to move out because his lease was up on his apartment and he was just getting out of there anyway. He was there for college. But anyway, we got that and then we traded because we needed to pay off the dude's slip fees. So we traded the van that we drove up there illegally because we had to go down, pay the guy. We're back in Portland. We pick up the van, throw all of his stuff, including the vacuum, in this van that we traded, and drove that up there and slept in that van for a few days. I think it was like 5 days we spent fixing up this boat. And then we even went, there's this bougie dude. I mean, gold like necklace, hemp necklace, shirt unbuttoned, just tan. And he was watching us. This dude basically lives on his 50-foot sailboat that's just gorgeous. Mm-hmm. He took us out in his boat once and he basically told us that we are going to die and we shouldn't do what we're about to do. And
why is that though? What did you guys find out?
Because why is what? Why was it the most dangerous?
Yeah. Isn't it like the most dangerous?
Well, yeah.
Coast
so like
to
it's got, especially up there, it's like one of the most dangerous, like bar they call it. So it's got where the elevation underneath the water comes up so drastically that you get all of these waves that are just organic from the water shifting constantly. And so it's just a super tricky bar to cross, especially when you leave that port to get out and sail south. So yeah, one day we just, we were like, okay, whatever. We've got nothing to lose. We got everything ready to go. And I should mention, like, all of our flares are expired. We only have charts for halfway down the coast because we didn't really have a plan. We were just going to keep sailing south until we ran out of food or money or something. And yeah, we went out and we just started sailing south. Both Taylor and I, thankfully, it wasn't Theo because he was the only person that was like, kind of knew how to sail. Both Taylor and I got sick instantly and got that out of our system. Because then once you do it, then like you're good after that.
Yeah.
We got sick instantly. Theo was a true man, didn't even blink. And then we found this, like, we're just heading south, weather's amazing. And we found this like cute little like port where you can just moor out. So like you could just throw anchor, and then you have to basically, we didn't have like a dinghy, so we just swam into the mainland, and there was this huge like mountain that we climbed all the way up, and we were like picking like fresh mint leaves. And this other huge trip, we pick all these fresh mint leaves, and we have rum, and we're like, we're gonna make mojitos, and we're just gonna be like the coolest guys ever. Well, we set sail after that trip, and we see whales in the ocean. So now we're drinking mojitos, and we see whales, and we're laughing into the face of the ocean. And then the ocean completely screwed us, because we were about 5 miles off the coast heading south, and like bad weather's coming in. This is a very abbreviated part of this story, but bad weather's coming in, and we get to this port that we're gonna like, okay, this is the last port on our charts, and we've got bad weather, so we have to get into this port. Well, we go in, it's getting dark, and all we see is just like rocks, and the moonlight's shining off the water and then hitting the rocks, and then they just like appear, and it's the most terrifying thing ever. And we're like, okay, nice and easy, we're almost there. And we see the buoys that are directing us in, and we call in, and our boat's name was Dandelion Wine. And so we said, I can't remember what the port name was, but we were like, Dandelion Wine, we'd like to come in and get a slip for the night. And they told us immediately, they said, like, abort, you can't come in here because they're a shallow port. So like the keel on our sailboat was way too deep in the water to go into this port. So we had this old school GPS. That's all we have for like navigation, and our charts that we were following. It was working out really well until we're out of charts, and now it's dark, and we have to turn this boat around with a little 10-horse backup motor that we were using, and literally zoom so far in on the GPS and stay right on that line so we didn't hit any rocks on the way out, because it's like pitch black at this time. And every once in a while you catch with your peripheral, the moon just hit the rock, shiny wet part of the rock just right. So we went all the way back out, followed this breadcrumb on our cheap little GPS until we were out far enough that we knew we were clear of the rocks, and then just started heading south until we found and stayed close enough to the coast so that we could find buoys for the next port. And then it was like 35-foot waves and storm, and I was the only one that brought gloves, and I'm like fight or flight at this moment. Like, I'm either going to die or I'm going to just do everything I can to stay alive. And it was like, these waves were as tall as our boat was long. So you go up and all you see is a face of water, and you just attack every wave head on, because if you go sideways at all, you're just going to capsize. And so we had called the Coast Guard, and they had one of those sweet, epic, self-recapsizing vessels where they're like 3-story tall, and they had one of those running all night for us because they had us check in every hour. They told us a heading to go on, and we were basically on call with them, and we told them that we're like, our whole situation, we're out of charts, this is our current location, latitude and longitude, and we're heading this direction. And then they basically would check in, and so if we missed a checkpoint or an hour when we checked in, then they would have an approximate location for our bodies at that point, because it was freezing cold water.
Yeah.
We would have, they would have got there fast, but it would not have been a good situation. We're singing, literally, we were singing some gospel song, I can't remember it, but at one point one of us just started singing it, and then we all started singing it just to like pass the time. But Taylor was down in the cabin, and we're hitting each wave, and Theo's hand was, he rode an 800-mile bike ride before this trip.
Oh, that's right.
And his hand, he got so much carpal tunnel that he couldn't use his like right hand. So all he did was stuff the GPS in it, and then he was on the till the whole time. So he was the one that was like dedicated, and then Taylor and I were going to take shifts on dropping the our storm sail, because the front sail, the one that we traded with the vacuum cleaner, is the only reason I'm still alive today. Because if we didn't trade that vacuum cleaner for that sail, our main sail had already shredded in half in the first hour of this storm. And so we've got this pretty yellow and blue sail that we traded, just happened to trade. But as soon as the big wind comes, the whole boat goes like this, where you're standing up sideways on the side of the seat across from you. So you're like those sailboat racers, where they're just sideways, and you've got this rope for the storm sail. So every time that wind hits, it goes like this, and then you've got to let it up so it stays up, it doesn't pull you all the way over,
Yeah.
and then you got to bring it all the way back in. And I was the only one that brought gloves on this trip. And I also there was no time or room for error either. So like when we went to go try to switch shifts, I basically told Taylor, I was in that fight or fight. I was like, I'm not going to put my life, I'm sorry, in your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I did that for, it must have been 10 hours of just wave after wave after wave. And yeah, so long story short, we got into port, and it was so weird and eerie because it was like fog. We were all beat, like mentally and physically, and we just see a bunch of people like up on in the port, like up on the boardwalk, just having their coffee, enjoying life, and we're rolling in, and every single one of them, like, this is their life. All they do is like, it's all about boats and what's going on the coast. So every single one of them was listening to the radio and hearing us like chime in and what was going on. And this was the port that the Coast Guard was going to be coming from and everything. So it was like this perfect kind of like cool scenario, because we got to meet those guys and take a tour of their facility, and they showed us the boat they had running all night for us. But these guys came down with coffee, and they were like, right away, they're like, we got to hear your story. Like, tell us your story. And Theo, being the captain of the ship that he is, stood up and he said, can you come back in an hour? We're going to need a minute. And not a single word was said once we finally started pulling into port. And then we all just went our separate ways, like got up, touched the ground, and like it was weird. And Theo went, first thing he did was go and got his crew coffee, and then we all just took a little hike. But when we came back and everybody was able to take a breath, one of the guys who came down owned one of the local marinas, and they set us up with new charts, replaced our expired flares, got us a new gas can, and then what was it? Oh, and then got us a brand new mainsail, all for free. So it was wild. Like, we're asking like, whose house can we clean, or like, what can we do? Like, this is too much. And people just really thought it was a cool experience that we were able to have. That wasn't even the last port we went to, and there's a story at every single one. I mean, the reason that mainsail broke in the first place was because it was ripped initially, and we replaced it with a canvas Coors Light banner that we folded over it on the end and then sewed it by hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it lasted all the way until that storm, but it was pretty crazy. I mean, you look up and it's like, yep, this is us. Just Coors Light. We're just branding Coors Light. And then we found a floaty dragon. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, we found a floaty dragon like 7 miles off the coast, and we picked it up and strapped it to the front of our boat like it was a pirate ship, And we just bungeed it, and so that's what we rolled up in, was a broken sail, a dragon on the front of our boat, and just looking like a bunch of idiots. Still, that was quite the experience. And I remember I'll jump forward to the end, but like when we were going home, I was eating, like, we lived off of chocolate-covered coffee beans and quinoa. Like, that was our diet because we bought it in bulk right before we left. But there's a photo I have of us, like, it was like the Last Supper. Like, I'm eating quinoa and smiling, and the other two are just mad at the world because I had enough money to buy a train ticket home, and they were stuck there with a boat, and because I was ready to go home. But they had to stick around for another week in San Francisco, because that's where we ended, and sell the boat. And so that's what they did, though. They sold it, got enough money to buy their way back, and we made a profit on it. That was good.
Yeah.
But still wild. And I'd do it again if it was a bigger boat and a different coast, because like, you couldn't even swim. The water was so cold. It was like, but so many other stories within that story, but that's definitely a good experience for sure.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you sharing it. Like, of course, I've heard parts and pieces of it and going down, like some of the different stories within it, but I think it's just, I've told other people about that. I'm like, you guys have no idea what my brother's gone through and done, right? Like, to go out and just with no plan, right? Just go do it. 'Cause there's people out there who'd be like, oh, I'd love to do that. I wish I could do that, right? Or, insert X, Y, and Z, right? You don't know until you go, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, anything is truly possible. It's just whether or not you make the decision to just go. Like, hey, here's the idea, act on it, right? And you guys did. Like, I remember, like, yep, you went through, planned it out, and it's such a cool thing to be able to go do that with a couple of your buddies at, 18 years old or whatever it was, right out of high school, to go do, was it high school?
No,
right
I think we must have been a little bit, I might have been 19 or 20.
19, 20?
Yeah. I think it was maybe 20.
Yeah, it was probably around there, because I think, when we went
I was already working at Logjam.
Yeah,
and I was there year, so I was either 20 or 21.
It was after we went to, it was after I went up to go guide and everything like that, because I believe, or I was 18 when I did that, because I knew you could drink up there and you couldn't. It was like an age thing, 17. Yeah. No, yeah, right, exactly. No. But that was, it would have had to been around that 20, which is just wild. I think it's just such a cool thing. Like, dude, I mean, shoot, there's a guy who went out, I can't remember his name, but he literally dropped everything, single dude, who went and sailed all the way to Hawaii or whatnot. I've seen go through, and anytime I see kind of his stuff pop up, I'm like, wow, my brother did this shit before it was cool, right? Before there was social media to document those kind of different things or whatnot in it. And it is like all the things that he ultimately had faced, or, different hardships or struggles in that, like you faced him, if not more, in that, right? And like, you don't know what to expect until you get in it, to where now you've done it, you have a better idea of what to expect, right?
Yeah.
And what not to.
Yeah, and I would go in more prepared, and I think you don't get blessed with the opportunity to have the freedom to just do that either. You know what I mean? You want to build your life around having more freedom, but you already had that, especially when you're younger, and having all that freedom that you got, in your late teens, early 20s, and then you're kind of back at square one, and you try to build this life, and then it's like you're only fighting for that freedom again. But then you find that freedom in other parts of your life too, and also like count your blessings on that you're still here, because there's so many close calls.
I remember there was one, I can't remember where it was, if it was right after you got that pork, 'cause I'm pretty sure you gave me a phone call. And I just like remember like calling, and it's like, I'm almost positive. It was so long ago, but it's like, hey man. It's like, hey dude, how's it going? And you're like, just want to let you know, love you. It was like, there was something like,
I called
love you, man.
I called dad, and then I called mom, and that was that hour walk that we all just kind of went on shore. And I mean, I like broke down in tears just like making those phone calls, because I was still just like you're running on adrenaline, and then it's like the dopamine like flush, like everything afterwards is what it was.
Like, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah. And I mean, we stepped on that boat again with a lot more respect for it and for the ocean after that. But and also like we were much more prepared after that port, because we had all the charts, all the flares, like the new sail, everything to get us to our next destination. And that was obviously with thanks to a lot of the help that we got there.
Is because of course every port on that, and I think just one, like you went off and did something that majority of people aren't going to do, or they don't do. They don't take the opportunity to go do that. I think it's a good testament too of just like there's good people out there, like great people out there who want to see you succeed when you go off and do things that majority of people don't do, right? Because
they're outside your realm,
right?
That's the boat life. Like those people are used to see that every day, and then they see somebody who lights up with the adventure. It's because they don't get to experience. So then they just like, how can we help? Like, how can we help?
They want to see you succeed in this piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like even the name of the show, like experience it. Like we're, like dad in the helicopter stuff. People light up around it because they don't see it every single day. It's like second nature to us. But then you get to share that with people, and they get excited about it, and that's what makes it worth it,
Yeah, and that's me in the hunting side, right? Like going out, kind of taking someone out to go do that for their first time, because it's some of that's like get asked all the time, right? Like, hey, that's my dream. Well,
yes,
it's a dream for most people, but all dreams can become reality if it's like if you take action in it. Right? For the most part, even if it's a dream and you start working towards that dream and or goal that you have, that you work towards it, you might not get to the exact destination that you had planned for, but you're a hell of a lot closer. right? And like you start uncovering because more people come out of the woodwork because they see what you're about and like what you're wanting to achieve. And they're just like, okay, how can I help? What can we help? They know that your destination was to go all the way down the coast. They want to see you succeed in that, where most people
100%.
just don't even take the action on it, or they just go through the motions of things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, dude, that goes right back to when I opened up the gym, any of the different little, like the things that have ultimately gone on. You with videography, photography, like going in, like, how do we help and build this piece out? Because they see that not only are you good at it, right? But you're good to the people that are around you supporting you, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I can say from everything I've ever watched you do or the interactions you have, like the passion. It's not just a job for you. Like I see that to where it's like there's such a passion play in it to where it's like it can be better, it can be more. I want to help tell someone's story. Very, very good at that. So,
yeah, well, I'm such an entrepreneur too that I don't like, and so stubborn that I absolutely need to have a passion for it if I'm going to put any of my time or effort into it. Like I will skip town and be out if it's not where my heart's at, and or if something that I don't think I can, that I'm not like the perfect, like good for, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, the corporate 9-to-5 has eluded me for so long, just because I have a certain way that I like to do things and a certain way that I like to operate, and this gives me at least the freedom to be in charge of kind of what that next step is for me.
Where did all
Of
the
your own
shoes-
destiny.
you have them.
I don't know.
We got a
Cameo.
secret guest. Cameo coming in. Oh, hi, bye.
But yeah, so I think that's a huge part of my drive, is just like every time I get into something, it's because, you know, something inside of me has told me that's the direction I need to go. Same from getting out of the helicopter stuff, going into the photography stuff, and into weddings, and just being surrounded by super positive people every single weekend. And like, I get to make them look their best self on one of the days that they want to feel the best. But yeah, so much of that stems from that and the experiences that we've had and the trips we've taken. Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on with stories.
And there is, I mean, there's so many from backyard corn bonfires throughout high school and all sorts of different shit along those lines. And then hunting trip, I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's ho-dunk out here in Wisconsin, that's for sure. I mean, it makes your skin a little bit thicker, and it makes you improvise. Because I think you have the freedom to improvise too, when, especially with us being blessed with what we had and the tools we were exposed to. And how many kids at, 10 years old can say they can weld two pieces of metal together successfully and confidently, or let alone drive a semi-truck to go pick up bales in the field. And for us then, that was just like, this is what we need to do, and we're part of the family and part of the farm. And now I look back at it with, a newfound respect for the opportunities that we were able to have that have given me the drive to say, like, no, I mean, I'm not going to pay this dude like $400 to do this electrical. I will do it myself, and then I'm going to have my buddy who's an electrician to come over here and sign off on it. Because a lot of those arts are lost, and we live in a world too where it's like, if you don't know how to do it, there's a place to find how to do it really easy and cheap.
Yeah. When it's even AI and all that stuff, like nowadays, like it's amazing to me, like even with the tools and things that are at your fingertip. And I think that's one of the things growing up on the farm, like you didn't pay someone else to do it. You figured it out, like go fix it, go make it happen, to where, I mean, and do I see it? I mean, in the St. Louis area, everything being down here in Missouri, like it doesn't matter. It's everywhere. People are looking for the easy button to where they don't even go on to whatever AI platform or Google it, right? Like I work with individuals on a day-to-day basis, and it's just like a lot of what I've been able to do within the career that I've had has been based just off of the work ethic of just go get it done and make it happen, right? To where others are just like, well, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? Well, if you take 10 seconds to look at it, figure it out, right? Like it's pretty self-explanatory. How does it work? They look past it, like they don't care how it works. It's just not doing what it's supposed to do. So fix it. Yeah. Right. That's 100%. Someone else's job. Right.
Yeah.
Where that's just, it's not the case.
Yeah. Once you do it once though, you'll never forget.
Right.
Then it just makes so much sense to you, whether it's something mechanical or something that's not working right, and you can easily piece it together, so you don't have to troubleshoot, pay somebody $200 just to come out and tell you it was a loose wire.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
that's the stuff that gets me fired up.
That's I could go down that hole real quick, but I would like you, just because of just in like the hunting side of things. Of course, we've gone out elk hunting, part of the 5%ers and individuals who have gotten an elk and everything.
Yeah.
Tell me your experience of going out elk hunting with Dad, because of course people have heard my experience and all those things. Like, we've been fortunate to go out. That's something that Dad would do on a year-to-year basis and all these things. But you've gone out a handful of times with him. Like, what is it like going out elk hunting with Dad?
It's saddle up. I mean, again, it comes back to that, like, it's human nature to be raised in such a way that all of these things seem normal to you. And then later in life, people tell you that that's not normal. And then you're like, I have to shift my thought process a little bit. But yeah, I think, again, that's one of those experiences, man, that not a lot of people had. And Dad did that because not only did he want to spend time with us, but it was really like his therapy, right? That was his version of therapy. But when I say saddle up, like, that's really what it is. You go out, the mules, we get those guys ready, and they're like clockwork. You don't, around here, it's like everybody's riding their horse every single day because they need to stay on them. It's like those mules, we would let them sit for maybe six months, and then you get back on them. It's like you never got off. So that was really cool to learn. Yeah, I mean, hunting with Dad was something else. I mean, you're definitely the big hunter in the family. I'm the whimsical fairy of the bunch, but I feel like Dad and I definitely like clashed heads a little bit more because I was always trying to, I don't know, like, up in the mountains, there's things that I wanted out of it, wasn't that he wanted out of it. And I think it's still to this day, like, especially since I got my bull with my bow several years ago. That was like a check mark for me, right? Like, I got one with rifle. I was able to take a small bull with Theo, again, surprisingly enough, who hadn't even taken like a biology class, and he had never even gotten an animal before, anything like that. And at that point, I was already pretty seasoned with going out west with Dad, so much so that Dad was sitting down at base camp, and we went up to satellite camp on our own. And then it was just, us just go get it done. When we were little, it was always get in the trailer, you sleep out, Dad's just pulling all-nighter just to get out there, and then it's like he doesn't even sleep. Now we're jumping on the mules, we're going up into the mountains to get up to our satellite camp. And I just remember, like, being so young to the point where you're like truly scared of the dark and every sound that's out there. And I just remember, like, I didn't even get to pack my own sleeping bag. Dad's just like, no, you just jump in my sleeping bag with me. And it's like, okay. And I was little enough at that point where it made sense. And I'm just sitting there. I was looking at one log on the horizon that just looked scary as shit. Like, I was like, and then you do this thing where you're trying to move your eyes around because you think it's like, is it moving? And you're trying to look like with your peripherals. Like, no, it's not. But a lot of nights like that. But also, like, the amount of times that Dad just made us, like, fend for ourselves, right? Like, figure it out, and was so frustrating at the time, but now it's like so valuable because he knew we could do it. And that goes into so many other parts of our lives other than hunting, but that was a big part of it. And I remember, I'll tell you the one story that, because I hate mountain lions with a passion.
Yeah,
I don't want to be anywhere that I'm like not in control. Like the ocean, same thing. I'm not the apex predator in the ocean.
Yeah, no.
I'm a fish out of water. And in the mountains at night, same thing. Like, oh, this cat definitely has night vision, and I do not have night vision.
Yeah.
So we've been hunting. We're good to go. Uncle Dwayne's with us, and we're coming down from the mountains. We got an elk of some sort at that time. That was when Uncle Dwayne got his. But we're coming down, and in the middle of the night, these mules know right where they're going. They just follow the trail. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. They just know where the hay is back at base camp. So you just let them go. You could hook the reins on the horn of the saddle, and they'll just take you all the way back down to base camp. I'm sitting there. I've got Dad in front of me on Big Red. I'm on, I'm pretty sure I was on Asbestos. And then, that's the name of the mule. And then behind me is Uncle Dwayne. And all of a sudden I see like Dad turns on his headlamp, and then I can finally see then, and then Red's like sidestepping and looking into the woods, and he like glances over with his headlamp, and there's just two big yellow wide eyes sitting in the bushes like 15 feet away from him, just staring, and he just says, "Dwayne, we got a cat." And I'm right in the middle of them, so I do what any, I don't know, I was probably 12 years old at the time, any reasonable kid would do. I put my legs crisscross on my saddle because I was certain it was going to grab me by the leg and then drag me off into the darkness. So I put my legs up, and Uncle Dwayne's hooting and hollering, "Get out of here, cat, get out of here." And Dad's reaching down for his rifle and his scabbard. And as soon as he looks back, there's no eyes, no sound. We're like, it's that dead silence of like where to go. And then we didn't hear anything else from it. But about an hour later, we're coming across this one plateau, and I go, and he's in front of me in the dark, and he goes, "What?" And he goes, and I asked him, I was like, "Can I put my legs down yet?" Because I was cramping up so bad from having my legs crossed on this saddle and just teetering there the whole time and just focusing on not getting drug into the wilderness. But yeah, you learn a lot of those experiences, I think, through those trial and error, because you can't, like, again, you can't stage that, and you weren't really prepared for it. But yeah, and like I think a year later, that same trailhead got attacked by a mountain lion, a sick one. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I will say, I think, Dad, throughout all of it, of course, from doing it years prior, college buddies, all that stuff, like if anything, Dad did a really good job at just like preparing us to be able to get out. If something ever happened to him or, anything up there, like he at least knew we could handle ourselves to get out.
Yeah.
And he did.
100%.
He definitely pushed us to do things outside of the comfort zone. Right. Mm-hmm. He did. He's like, you're very, very, like, we're all much more capable than we give ourselves credit. Right. Mm-hmm. Especially at a young age. And he definitely did that and tested that. And, it just is pretty wild. Like all the different, I watched, him go through and ultimately have grown men up there, men who have no idea what's going on. Right. But then he'd also, like when I had gone up, he would send one of those guys or buddies that he had with him who, took out hunting. He'd send them with me, and they'd be like, "Are you sure?" It's like, well, Jake's done this before. You'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made him go through the ringer. And But yeah, that story, I know, you came off, and Dad tells that story all the time because it's one of those things like you just don't know. And that's the most scared I've ever seen Dad in the mountain was when him and I had come up on some lion kits and everything, and you just don't mess with the cats. Like, no. And after that, like, we were always carrying. So I just remember thinking we were king ding along when, we're all at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, rocking, fully locked and loaded 9mm on the side just in case. So, but it's
nuts.
I do think though it's, going up doing that and being detached from everything is just something that most people, again, will never go do, just like your sailing trip. But you go through it, and the struggle in that ultimately builds the bonds. That's the story, like that story. That's a story that you talk about. Yeah, you talk about the good things and, the harvest of the elk or different stuff like that. But it's always like, you remember that one time? Holy shit.
Yeah.
We made it out alive.
When you cheated death, and because you could see it. You're like, 2 more steps or a little bit this way or a turn to the right, like then it would have been toast. And that's literally what the mountains is, especially when you're on like horseback or riding mule, because it's you're just locked in constantly. Because sure, you put a lot of trust in those horses and mules, but like you're locked in because if one false step does eventually go wrong, you want to know within a millisecond which way you're jumping, where you're jumping, so that thing's not dragging you down with it. But
yeah, for people listening, like if you've never been on a horseback or anything in the mountains, like those trails you're going up in some places, like maybe 1.5 feet wide, maybe 2 feet, and it's literally, straight up on one side, and then you have 1,000-foot drop on the other, straight down into like a riverbed, depending on where you're going. And then shit can get really spicy when it's snowy out or slippery, icy, those kind of things.
Yeah, wet rocks.
Yeah, exactly. So I will say mules do a good job at being sure foot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Versus horses. Yeah. When I guided, like they were all about horses and shoeing the horses and that. But man, those steel shoes, when it's wet rock, you might as well be on ice. It's not
Well,
good.
it's, to me, it's like the mule's actually thinking about it. You know, like it's processing what it's stepping on. Where every horse that I've ridden, it's just like, just take me where you want me to go, and
I'll go off the cliff.
I want you to have at least a little bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is your life on the line too, buddy. So let's try to get through this together.
Together,
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that's crazy.
I know we're, of course, getting up here on time, and you got a family you got to get to. Same here. But what, kind of going off of that piece, what are you working on right now? You guys just went through, acquired something new, which is a huge new chapter and piece of life. What do we got going on?
This just in.
Hot news.
Hot news. So this is a huge plug, and I'm thankful to be on here and talk about it. My wife and I just recently acquired a wedding venue. So this has been a dream of ours for the last 5 years. We've been talking about it. 3 years ago, we looked at this space, wasn't in the stars. And then just this last November, I got a call and they were willing to negotiate. Things moved really fast. But I always knew I was going to do something in this space in weddings for the rest of my life. But I didn't know how to, I've tried to scale my photography business so many times, but when people want photography, they want me, and I can't scale that because there's only so many weekends in the year. So having something like this that's tangible, that we can hand down to our kids, that can be a family affair, and, a small business town. For
say that again. I think it cut out a little bit. Say it one more time. I think it cut out a little bit.
And you can. So I'm excited. Bringing people.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm pumped and excited for you guys, and I think it's one of those things to where it's like a full circle piece of just kind of that law of attraction of putting it out there 5 years prior to, again, here's an idea, a thought, consistently coming back to that thought, coming back to the vision, and then like it would have never happened if you didn't have the initial conversation, which even plants the seeds and the ideas. And then also too, like knowing more the backstory of how it all came together is, if you wouldn't have built the relationships that you have, the 5, 6, 8, 10 years prior to that, all of those things compound, building further and forward, right? It's ultimately where it is today. And that's where it's like, dude, it's going to be so friggin' badass as it just continues to go and grow, because you have such a great culture in that. And I would say, like, anyone who is listening, whether this is on the YouTube space, on the podcast space, you want a destination wedding, you want something out in rural Wisconsin, a beautiful venue, phenomenal culture and community side of it, definitely check out the Cobble and Vine venue and everything that Nick and Alicia have going on there, because it's definitely a family affair, and it's gonna be super cool to watch it go and grow. So yeah, I'm pumped and excited for you guys.
Thanks, bro.
It'll be good.
I'm excited.
Too bad it's too late. I can't get married there. Maybe we'll have to do like a
Zach,
vows or something.
We gotta get Zach.
Man,
he just hasn't
charge
found
him
the right
double.
guy yet.
I hope he listens to this episode. Hasn't found the right guy. Yeah.
Facility. Propel them,
Yep. 100%. Nah, it's super cool. It's gonna be awesome to watch it unfold, because it's just the beginning, but it's gonna be just another story after another story after another story, be able to build on top of it. So, I, of course, at the end of every episode, really just kind of want to leave people with nuggets of information to be able to go out, experience more of life, more of the outdoors. In your perspective, and it doesn't matter any way, shape, or form, is there a resource that you would give someone, and or a final say or word that would help? I would even say, coming from the entrepreneur side and you being self-made, that would help someone maybe break through the struggles that they're having and to go out there and actually experience more of life. Awesome. I love it. That's, asking you shall receive, right? You don't know, don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, there's 100%. A lot of people out there who want to see you win. And I mean, the answer is always going to be no if you don't ask it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And you don't know, but there's people.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, where can everyone find you? As far as, of course, I'll drop your links and things like that down below, resource to like the web, or what your website, socials, all that. Let everyone know where they can get you.
Yeah, on our website.
I guess I should have been on here to
building bar.
All the good stuff. Yeah, it'd be good. Well, I appreciate you coming on, being a part of the show. We might have to try and do like a trio one with Zach or something where we can beat up on him. It'll be a good one. Yeah, it'll be good
as we move forward.
Well, definitely, and I know I'll keep bugging you. We got to get Liam out on the mountain at some point in time. Go out, get some hunting on that stuff, and there'll be different things that ultimately come up in the future. Well, many more adventures to be had for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But all right, well, I'll let you go. I love you, bro, and appreciate everyone.
Bro, love you.
Yeah, appreciate everyone coming on, being a part of the show, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Take it easy.